All right, guys, we're just going to bring it up here and countdown clock's close enough to 0. It was weird because the Restream.io is still actually just showing that it's sending data to YouTube, but it doesn't actually show any feedback from YouTube. But you guys can hear me that are on YouTube. I see a count over here of who's watching, so I don't know what's going on. I guess Restream's having a little few issues. Incidentally, last week's show where it cut off and started a new stream, the folks at Restream dug into the data. They figured out what happened. It was some weird anomaly where apparently my system stopped sending data for just long enough where YouTube thought the show was over and stopped it. And then my system picked back up and YouTube went, oh, it's a new show. And so that's what happened. Real bummer. But anyway, there you go. So that is that. All right. Hello, everybody. Who's here today? Let's just do a quick little scroll through the comment section, see who is hanging out today, and then we'll get this thing started. Jake, greetings. Sean, good morning, sir. Bart, hey Bart, I'm looking forward to watching your show later today. That looks really cool that you published last night or this morning, I guess. And Bart, Sean saying the thumbnail looks like a reaction to brain freeze. That's pretty much right. I had to do some heavy convincing to allow Lenka to use me that picture. Allow me to use that picture. Wow, English, first language, mine. And from London, Shark, greetings to you. Hello, everybody. Unbox RX and a bunch of other folks in here. Sam, Neil, awesome. From all over the globe today. Superb. Alrighty. Well, with that said, I think it's time to get this thing started. We'll do a clean start for the intro, outro. Get that in reach because I might need that today. I don't know if I should. What do you guys think of this? Is it like weird? I like it because it's so big. It's really hard to knock over. It's such a broad base, and I'm terrified of like knocking over a glass here on the. That'd be bad. That'd be bad. All right, let's do this thing, shall we? Ooh, see if we can get through this show all at once. I'm gonna need that. We'll do that later. Let's do this. Today's show is going to be a little bit different. We're not talking about photography and video specifically. We're talking about web and data analytics for Instagram, which is where I put my photos, so it's kind of related. When it comes to Instagram, I think it's pretty well universally understood that hashtags can be a good thing. And I'm actually really bad at Instagram. Let's just put that out there first. If you're watching this looking for great tips on how I made my Instagram channel huge, you know, look, I've not even got 5,000 subs on mine or followers, whatever. I'm not very good at it, and I'm trying to get better. And part of the process of trying to get better is trying to use hashtags more judiciously, more correctly, shall we say. And in doing that research, I came across a bunch of really interesting data that I wanted to parse and figure out how to best use for my particular channel and channel size. And that is what I'm going to be sharing with you today. I'm going to share with you, it's kind of a multiple step process. I'm going to be sharing with you what I found, what I learned, and then the big step is how I took that knowledge and how I took the data from that and turned that into something that I could action on for my Instagram account. Now, I've just started doing this, so I don't know if this is actually going to be effective or not, but even if you're not using Instagram, I think that a lot of the things that I'm going to show you today in regards to data scraping off of the web, analyzing that data, cleaning up that data, that's kind of a big part of this too, could potentially be useful. It doesn't matter if you're using this for Instagram or for anything else. If you are kind of a data geek at all, this is probably going to be interesting to you. Now, for some of you, this might be old news. You've done this stuff before. Clearly, this is not my job. I am not a professional data wrangler, analyst type of a person. But I appreciate the data. I appreciate the kind of geekiness that goes into it. And I'm the kind of person that will spend an hour figuring out how to save a minute. Does that make sense? Like, I'm like, you know, there's a better way to do this, and I will spend all this time figuring out a better way to do this when I could have just spent a minute or two cleaning up, but I'll do it. That's just me. What can I say? Hopefully down the long run, it ends up saving time, but anyway, that is what it is. Okay, so let's get into the meat of this. So here's what was going on. So again, I'm looking for a way to improve my Instagram channel, get more traction on there. And I'm doing a little research and trying to find hashtags, some good hashtags. And I find this website, which I'll show you in a moment here, that talks about, or that has a list of hashtags, kind of most popular hashtags or best hashtags to use for a group of photography categories. So let's actually start with that. Let's take a look at that webpage real quick. And that is this page here, it's trovatin.com/Instagram/hashtags. Of course, I will link to everything that we're talking about today will be linked down below. And in here, it has this photographer's guide to marketing. So this is specifically for photographers. And here's Instagram hashtags for photographers. And there's 17 different categories in here, including things like street and candid photography, wedding photography, black and white, and so on and so on and so on. And if you click on any one of these, it will give you a bunch of different hashtags. Like this one's got separated groups. Here's some for candid photography and let's see here. Here's one up here for street photography, so it kind of separates those two out a little bit. And then down here, it talks about hashtags that are connected to accounts. So you know how some accounts will share your photos? They'll say, tag your photo with this for an opportunity for a chance to be shared on our channel. Or those kind of hashtags are in here too. Okay, so this is good, right? Good, got a bunch of nice hashtags in here. There's a lot of them, more than you can probably use in most of these categories in any one post. Instagram, you're limited to 30 hashtags for the post. You can put more in the comments, but in general, it's 30 per post. That's your maximum. But it's more than just grabbing all these hashtags and copy and pasting them in. It tells you on here, if you really want to do this right, you need to understand how to use hashtags. And this is something that I learned from this webpage. And they're saying on there, their advice is that you only use hashtags that have around 1,000 times as many photos attached to that hashtag as you normally get likes on your pictures. Right? So follow this. If I, on average, get 100 likes per photo, then I should be targeting hashtags that have 1,000 times that many posts on them. So 100,000 posts. That's the target range. And the reason for that is if I'm posting on, let's say I get 100 likes per photo, and I hashtag it with some National Geographic hashtag, for which the account for that hashtag has like millions and millions and millions of pictures, there is pretty much no way that my photo is going to show up in anybody's feed if they're following that hashtag, because you know you can follow hashtags on Instagram now. Pretty much no way it's going to show up in there. Pretty much no way it's going to show up in the top 9 of that hashtag. So it's kind of pointless. So what you really want to do to have actual odds of getting your stuff shown is to target that 1,000 times the number. That's the advice on this webpage. Okay, so that's kind of good. So I look at my history, and on average, I would say kind of on the most normalized end, I probably get about 100 likes on a picture. So I told you, not very many, right? And on the higher end, I get maybe like 400 likes. So 100 to 400, let's call that my range. So 100,000 to 400,000 photos on a hashtag is my range. That's what I'm going for. Okay, so that's good to know. So now how am I going to find out what those are? Because there's a lot of hashtags here, and this is where we get into the hard part here, right? There are actually, I think it was over 700 hashtags on here between all these posts. So clearly, what I don't want to do is do this manually. But that is where this starts. I need to show you how to do this manually to begin with. So here's what I'm going to do. Let's just go to the first hashtag on here. So street photography _ black and white. Okay, cool. So I'm going to grab that, just copy that to the clipboard. And then how do I get to the hashtag URL? Well, if I go to any post, let's just go to one of my posts on here. This is from this morning. I click on any one of the hashtags in here, and it is going to show me, there's the hashtag, and it says 96,689 posts. So that's, for me, that's a good one, right? That is actually a little bit on the lower end of what I'd be looking for. It's under 100,000. So my odds are reasonably good that my picture would get featured if I use this. Okay, that's cool. So great, that's good to know. Okay, so now that I've got this data, what am I going to do with it? Well, clearly, what I really need to do is start sorting this out in a spreadsheet, right? I got to build a spreadsheet with the hashtag and the number of posts on that hashtag for over 700 hashtags. Ooh, that's going to get tough. So, okay, bear with me here. This is the results of this one particular hashtag. Here's the URL, Instagram.com/explore/tag/ in this case, Lake of the Woods. I'm going to hit paste. I got that street photography one on my clipboard. Drop that in, and this one has 1,168,714 posts. So that clearly is way beyond my scope. I should not be posting into there. But this is what I've got to find out 700 stinking times. Don't want to do it the manual way. So I start digging into this. How can I automate this process? And I'm looking at, I'm going to do this in a spreadsheet. So I figure maybe there's a way for a spreadsheet to get data from a URL, from a website, and I'm doing some research on that, and I find that Microsoft Excel can do it. But I download it, and I can't figure it out. It's just this weird kind of table data. I think it's really designed to pull data out of tables. This is not a table, so that's not probably going to work. So I keep digging, and I find this website is super, super interesting to me. this website here called import.io. Import.io is all about extracting data from web pages, from pretty much anything. If you're looking at their samples, they show you, as an example, extracting prices from an Amazon page. So let's say that you were building a website where you wanted to build a comparison shopping and you wanted to show the prices from Amazon and B&H and Adorama, and you want to show them all side by side. You could use this service to extract that data from those websites and then compile it into your website. Pretty cool, right? So they have that service at like a full-on, probably really expensive service level. If you look at their pricing here, the free version, which is what I'm using, is pretty basic, but it does allow 1,000 URL queries per month. So that's going to be plenty for what I'm doing. But the next two tiers, they just say contact sales. They don't even have a price on them. So it's big company stuff. But the free version is plenty for me. Okay, cool. So I do a little digging into how this works, figure it out, and that's what I want to show you next. So I'm going to, let's see here, let's create, I must have closed out that tab. Let's create a new one. Go to import.io and go to the dashboard. If it doesn't take me there right away, here we go to the dashboard. And I've already done 783 queries, so we're not going to do a whole lot today, or I'll hit my 1,000 max. And you go into these things called extractors, and I'm just going to build a new one. I'm going to create this from scratch. I click on New Extractor, and I'm going to drop in a URL here. Let's see here. I'm going to use this one here for the street photography black and white, copy that to the clipboard, back to this, and paste that in and hit Go. And you can see here what it says it's doing. It is loading the web page. It is attempting to automatically extract data from the web page. And it says here, if you don't like what they come up with, you can manually go in there and parse it out. But fortunately, it's actually going to work automatically, which is great. It'll take a few minutes. And at some point, it actually says if this is taking too long, you can stop it and do it manually. I don't know if it's going to work if I do it manually, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to let it go. In a moment here, it'll be set, and I will be able to grab the data that I need. Okay, so this is starting to get interesting, right? There's like this ability on this website to extract data from any other web page. It's kind of interesting, right? We have to do this 700 times, but we're getting somewhere. All right, there, it looks like it's finished up here. It's told me that it's found a pop-up column. I think it's probably just a login page. Just get rid of that. And it also gives me this error, which I don't understand because it actually does work, but whatever. As I roll my mouse over this, you'll see everything highlighted, this data that it could extract. So I could even extract like the top post every time if I wanted to. But what I want is this number right there. And you can see how that highlights nicely as I roll over it. Boom, that's the number that I want. So I click on that, and it adds it to this column. There we go. There's that number showing up in the column. And I'm just going to call this column posts, because that's what it is. It's how many posts it is. Okay, so that's that. Great. Now what? Now there's a big button here that says extract data from website. Okay, we'll click that and see what happens. And choose a name, Instagram.com, let's call this show here. And yeah, just run it. And so it's going to now run this data, run this analysis. It's going to parse the data and hopefully create a spreadsheet using that data. Now keep in mind, we've only got one website in there, but this is how we're starting. This is my process, how I started this. I kind of figured this out. This is what it does. And then I go, okay, well, it's done this. How do we take this to the next level? But here we go. It's almost finished here. You see, it's not instant. It takes a few seconds to do. And if you have a larger one, it could take several minutes to run. But it will do it. It'll estimate the time remaining. Here we go. 1 URL, 1 success, 0 failed. That's excellent. And over here is a little download button. All right, well, click on download. CSV, that works for me. And let's just open that up and let's see what kind of data we got. All right, so here's what we have. The URL that I gave it and the number of posts. Superb. Okay, well, this is getting somewhere. So now I just need to repeat this a whole ton of times. Well, obviously, it's what this thing is designed for. So let's go ahead and close that guy. Go back into here, and if I look at the settings for this Instagram thing, there is the ability to add, paste in new URLs here. So I can go in here and just paste in all the URLs that I want to follow. Okay, great. So now I've got a page full of hashtags. I'm going to have to convert those all into URLs and then paste them in here. All right, time to do a little bit of search and replace, kind of clean up magic, if you will. So this is where we get into the kind of the geeky text replacement stuff that I don't know. For some reason, this stuff makes me happy. Okay, let's go into here, and we're going to go back to this page. I'm going to start with this first chunk of hashtags. So I'm going to copy that to the clipboard. I'm going to launch BB Edit, which is just an awesome clean text editor. Paste those in, and you can see they've all got spaces between them. and there's hashtags in front of each of them. Okay, pretty straightforward, right? I'm going to replace each hashtag with the first part of the URL. I need these all to be on a different line, so I'm going to replace the space with a carriage return. I don't know what the command is for carriage return, so how do I find that out? Well, I'll go in here, and I'm just going to go to the end of this and hit return, and then I'm going to go and copy that. So I've selected the return there, hit copy, do a find on here, and find, I'm going to replace a space. I just hit the space on the space bar with, and I paste, and it's /n. Okay, let's remember that. /n does that. Let's do a quick replace all, and boom, perfect. Look at that. That's the first step done. Now, I know because I'm doing this to 17 pages of this. I'm going to have a lot of this to do, and this is only part of this page. I'm going to need that command again. So in BBEdit, you can save these replacement scripts. Now, I've already deleted all of mine so that I could create new ones for you, and it's pretty easy to do. We just go in here. So it's already got find space, replace with a return. I go to the little G menu in here, the grep menu, save that, and we'll give it a name. We'll say replace space with return, and add that to it, and that adds it to my list down there. Now, just because I'm going to be super geeky about it, I'm going to say manage patterns, move this to the top, and because I don't know what all this other stuff is, but I might want it one day, I'm going to add a new pattern that's not actually anything. It's just a kind of a line break in here, just a visual reference because I'm like that. Okay, so now I've got that one in the replace space with return. The next one that I need to do is replace the hashtag with the URL. However, I have a lot more hashtags here to go through first. So let's finish cleaning this up. Let's grab these, copy those, and put that in here. So I'll paste those in, right? So find, it's already got that in there, replace with return, good. Next, go down here. Now here's a bunch where it gets a little bit more complicated because I have in here hashtags, but then there's other words. There's and there's this dash, and there's the at, what do you call it, the at handle in there. So I got to clean that up. Oh, man. All right, well, let's just copy that to the clipboard, back over here, back to the end. Let's paste that. OK, well, I guess I could do the replace with the returns. So let's do that. OK, that worked. I've also, well, you know what, this is good enough, actually. I need to get rid of the ats and the dashes. Now, I could do this manually, and this is one of those where you go, OK, I could do it manually, and would just take a minute to do. But I could probably automate this too. And so I'm thinking, how do I automate this? And again, I'm going to do this 17 times at least, so it's worth kind of automating. So here's how I'm going to automate this. I'm going to take this, and there might be a better way to do this. I'm not saying this is the only way. It's just my way. Select all of that, copy that. Let's go over to numbers and create a new spreadsheet. And just paste this into a new spreadsheet, and then do a sort on that column. And there we go. Everything's sorted. Now I only want the hashtag data, so there we go. So I got rid of, see all the ats, all the dashes, the ands, those are all separated. It's the hashtags that I want. Copy that back into here, paste that in, and we're good to go. Okay, cool. So let's get rid of that extra double return, and now it's time to replace the hashtag. So find, replace hashtag with the first part of the URL, which was, go back over to here, it was instagram.com/explore/tags. We need that / on there, so let's get that. Back over to BBEdit. Replace, of course I would save this. I hit replace all, and there we go. Ooh, look at this. We've got one mistake in here. We can see a double line on here. I think usually if you see a double line like that, because it might show up elsewhere as well, it's a good idea to just undo it and make sure that your data that you're replacing is clean. It's just my advice on that. So let's go back into here. I'm going to click on this window, hit undo. Here it was. I guess there was no space between that on the website. And that's something you'll find. If you're going through that website pulling out data, you're going to find some places have double spaces, some are missing a space. You're going to have a little bit of cleanup in here, but it's the name of the game. All right, so I've got that. Let's try this again. Replace all. That looks better. OK, so now I've got all these URLs. Perfect. Let's select all of that, copy that, let's go back to Chrome. And I need this page here. I can get rid of that one. Let's just remove that URL that I put in there. Paste in that whole pages of them, hit save for that, and now it is ready to go. In fact, there's also a button up here called Cleanup URLs, which I found some of these did have duplicates, so let's see if this one did. 72 total on here. I hit Cleanup. Oh, gosh, yeah, it actually removed a bunch of them, so there are a bunch of duplicates in there. OK, good. Let's save that again. That'll speed this up, and that's it. Now I just hit the Run button. Run URLs, and it is going to process that. So we should see up here we go. So let's start, 66 to go, and we'll just leave this nice and big in the corner there while we chat through the next steps. So now that I've got this data parsing through, this is going to take a few minutes. But given that there are 17 of these categories, and maybe you don't do all of them, you just select the categories that you actually do photography for, you can just move on and start the next one. This will keep processing in the background. So go ahead and go to the next page, copy your URLs, go into BB Edit, clean them up, create a new extractor. So this extractor, what I would do is I named it whatever, Instagram show. I would go in there and name it for that category. This was travel and something, travel and street photography. I would name it for that. In fact, what I did on mine, if we look more closely, you'll see in here that I've numbered these. So street and candid, I think that's where we are. So we've got all these numbers on here. Those numbers actually correlate to, where's this website? The categories on Travatin's webpage, because I wanted to make sure that I could come back to these at any time. And that's part of this, right? That is a big part of this, is knowing that we can come back and re-extract the data later. This isn't something I need to do very often. In fact, what I would probably do is I'm going to be currently targeting that 100,000 to 400,000 range. If I get to a point where suddenly I'm getting a lot more likes on my photos, and let's just say I start getting on average, 600 to 1,000 likes per photos. Okay, it's time to reanalyze this strategy. I could go back to the old data, but it's probably going to make sense to run the data again. So I would go back in here, run each one of these, download the data, copy and paste it into the spreadsheet that I'm building next. That's the next step in here, and update that data. So you only need to do this as often as you feel like your Instagram account is actually growing. Obviously, if you're not watching this because of the Instagram part of it, then that's irrelevant. But you can run this as often as you want, up to 1,000 queries per month for free. Kind of cool on that. Where are we here? Oh, it's done. All right, so this is now finished. 66 succeeded, 0 failed. Let's download this CSV file, and away it goes. Open that up, and there it is. Okay, let's get rid of this other one that I created earlier. Don't need that anymore. Okay, so here is the data. Now, this is kind of interesting. I don't know exactly why. You see how there's the number here, and that's it, and that's actually great. That's what you want. When I did this last week, every one of those data points had the word posts after it, and I don't know what I'm doing differently now than what I was doing before. So that meant I had to do a search and replace for the word posts to remove that, just so that I had only numbers, and it's important to have only numbers so that I can sort them in Numbers or Excel or whatever in the spreadsheet. If there's a number with another word in there, then it doesn't treat it as a number. It'll sort by the first number, not the full number. So like, 200 would come before 5, right? Yeah, so it doesn't make sense. So you need to clean it up and turn it into actual numbers. In this case, I don't have to, but that's something I had to do before. I want to make sure these are actual numbers, so I select the column, go to the cell here, data format, it is a number format. I do want the 1,000 separator in there, and now I can do a sort on here, and I can say sort ascending, and I can see, in fact, let's do it the other way, let's do a sort descending, and the top tag on here has 17.9 million posts. Clearly not for me. And if I go down to the very, very bottom of this, the lowest one has only 1,688 posts. So, that's like promising. I could probably do something with that. Let's do this. Let me do a zoom in here so you can see the data better. Yeah, so, there's a lot of one that I can use. So I can, at this point, just go, okay, well, I want between 100,000 and 400,000, so I can just go up here and select those. Now, because I'm a geek, because I like kind of getting into this, weeds on this stuff, before I pull the hashtags out, I'm going to take it one step further, and I'm going to color code the numbers. Don't ask. Anyway. So here's how I'm going to do that. Let's see. Let me zoom out of this a little bit and make this a little bit bigger. And I want to do conditional formatting. So I select all of these in here. I go conditional highlighting, and I say add a rule, and I'll say between 0 and 100,000. Did I do that right? 100,000. There we go. Make it a blue fill. Perfect. So those are nicely filled in blue. And then I'm going to add another rule between, I'm going to say 100,001 and 400,000, and we're going to highlight those in green. And you can then copy and paste this formatting to other tables that you're going to make. What I ended up doing was creating a new sheet up here. So I just created a new sheet for each one of the hashtags, and I'll show you my final results in a moment here, if I remember to. And so now I can copy and paste the formatting. So now I can just see at a glance, okay, these are my target ones. If there's not very many of these, then maybe I want to grab some of the lower ones or whatever. I can make a decision based off of this, but at a glance, I see these are the ones that are under my target, these are in my target range, and then these are all over my target range. Okay, so good. So we're getting there. Now I know which hashtags to use. Well, I got to convert these URLs back to hashtags because they're URLs, right? I need to have a hashtag to copy and paste into my posts. So that's the next step. So for that, we're going to use another formula inside of numbers to simply, or use a formula inside of numbers to simply replace the URL with the hash. Kind of neat. So back to this. Here we go. Let's create a new column in there. Let's do it this way. Create a new column in there. and go to the first one, and I go equals substitute, and I'm going to substitute using that source string. The existing string is going to be quote. I'm going to put 2 quotes in here now, and I need to paste that data in, which was probably still on the clipboard, but oops, we're going to just copy it here again just in case. Back into numbers. Okay, paste that in. So replace that hashtag with quote hashtag or hash, whatever quote. Occurrence we can ignore, and we hit OK. There we go. There is. Now it returned as a hashtag. Perfect. So now let's just fill this data down here, automatically fill that in, and boom, there's my hashtags. Perfect. So now I have the hashtags that I want are here. Superb. Copy that. I tend to go back to BBEdit at this point and paste it in just to clean it up to make sure there's no formatting. I just want totally clean text, but those are the hashtags that are going to be my target. So now what am I going to do with that? Now it's time to start using them in Instagram, and obviously repeat this 17 times or however many times you need. Okay, you can quite simply create like a notepad and paste the hashtags in there and just go copy and paste them out each time. That's one way to do it. That's inefficient. So I am a fan of this app called Text Expander. I've been using Text Expander, my God, probably 20 years. It's a fantastic Mac app and iOS app that allows you to automatically expand while you're typing. It expands things out. So I could type, for example, one of the ones that I use regularly is for typing my address. I type the letters my, M-Y-A-D-D, 1, and hit space, and it expands with my business address, my ADD 2, and it expands with my home address, that sort of thing. So I use a lot of those little replacement scripts in here. You can also use on iOS, instead of just typing in replacements, you can have buttons that auto-fill the data that you put in there. So you create these snippets, they're called, and then you create a little button layout that you can access on your phone, which is kind of neat, right? So here, let's go through that process because let's take us all the way home. All right, so I create these. I got these hashtags. I go to Text Expander. Here we go, and open Text Expander here. And we're not going to upgrade right now. And you'll see in here that I've got a group called. Let's just kind of clean this window up a little bit here. I've got a group already called hashtags in here. I open that up, and there's a whole bunch of them. So I've obviously already done this. We're going to create a new one. Let's actually put this in hashtags. Brilliant. We're going to create a new one. We're going to paste these into here, and I'm going to label this. What do we know? Street. We'll just start the street test. I don't know. Or that's what we're going to call it. Street test. I'm actually going to put a hashtag in front of it just so I know what it is. And I just realized actually that these are all on new lines, on their own lines, which I don't want. So let's go back over to BBEdit here, and let's do a find and replace on here. We're actually going to do the reverse of what we did earlier. So /n for return, replace with a space. Replace all, there we go, now they're all on one line. That's what I really wanted. So I'm actually going to put a line break in there, and then those hashtags, and then another line break, and you'll see why in a little bit. So there's that. All right, so street test is in place, ready to go. Excellent. So now I got to get over to my iPhone. So this next part happens on the phone itself. This, of course, requires that you have installed the keyboard app on here, Text Expander. It actually it becomes an iOS keyboard, which I never use for typing, but I do use it for this replacement thing all the time, which is really, really cool. It is a paid service, by the way. I think it's a subscription thing, but totally, totally worth it. Okay, so let's see here. Let me open up Text Expander here, and then I will share this with you. Alrighty. I forgot to, where is my iPhone? Ooh, I don't know what that preset is. iPhone guests, sorry guys. I've been moving my presets around. I have not yet, I forgot to clean this one up. iPhone, there we go, perfect, okay. So this is the Text Expander app, and you don't normally ever use the app. You don't use it when you're typing. This is just there for setup. Okay, so there's my hashtags group. I look at the hashtags group, and street test, it's already sunk. You can see it down at the bottom, so that has synced up. Excellent. It's kind of convoluted how you set this up, but you go to the gear menu in the bottom left, and then there's this thing called snippet keys about in the middle of the screen there, so I tap on that, and I add the snippet key that I want. So I hit the plus in the bottom right corner, I go to hashtags, and I'm going to enable street test. That's the one that I want in here. Okay, perfect. Done on there, back out of there, and I guess I say, oh, you can rearrange them while you're in here if you wanted to. If I hit edit here, I can rearrange them. So if I don't want that one at the end, so let's actually move this up along with my other hashtags. We'll just put it like right there, street test. Okay, so that's where that is. So that's that part of it. So now I would go to start composing my thing in Instagram. Now here's another, I'm full of tips today. Here's another tip. So you know how in Instagram, if you put a carriage return in there, it doesn't honor it. It just removes it, and you end up with with just a flat data. I put a return in there because I want it there. There's this app that I found called Space, and you can see it here next to Instagram. It's called Space right there. Space allows you to type in your description or whatever you want in here, put in your carriage returns, and then when you copy to the clipboard, it inserts some invisible character or the right number of spaces. I'm not sure exactly what it's adding, but it will retain those blank lines in Instagram. Super awesome. It has another cool feature where up at the top here, you see where, I wish I could highlight it, but you can see up at the top it says enter text, 962 out of 2200, so that's 962 characters out of the 2200 max. And to the right of that, it says 2 and a hash. That's 2 hashtags being used. So this allows me to see how many hashtags are being used so I don't go over the limit. Because what happens if you go over the limit on Instagram, sometimes it'll just refuse to post, but sometimes it'll post and not include any of your text. Super, super frustrating. So this allows you to avoid that. Anyway, so let's just say here I'm working on this post, and I don't know. Okay, clearly that 2 hashtags is wrong because there's a whole bunch of hashtags in here. So let's just pretend that that's working. Guys, space guys, need to fix that. But here's how this works. So I want to add my new hashtags in here. I change my keyboard to the text expander. It's already on the button mode. If I hit the T button here, it'll swap between normal keyboard and that button mode. And then I find the one that I just added in here, which was street test. I hit street test, boom, and it just added them in. And that's all there is to it. So now those hashtags are in there. So this point, this is the final step in this, right? So at this point, you have created these collections of hashtags that are based off of real data, right? Personally, I'm targeting that 100 to 400,000 range. I have identified those, cleaned up the data, copied it into the text expander snippets so that now when I'm creating a post and it's about landscapes or it's about fashion or whatever it is, I've got those tags ready to go. And at some point, hopefully, my likes go up and I get to a point where it's time to kind of upgrade, next level up, if you will, and I will go back and do this over again. And that might be in 3 months, 6 months, a year, who knows. But that's it. So that's the process. Crazy, right? But it's really interesting, and I hope that you found this as interesting as I did. Again, super, super geeky here, but I thought it was really a lot of fun to do, so hopefully you did too. We're going to jump into a live Q&A here for those of you watching live. If you're not watching live, the Q&A will come up afterwards. And of course, as always, if you haven't subscribed yet, do hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share this with somebody, tell a friend. It's kind of important. It helps get the word out, and I certainly appreciate it. All right, we'll see you in a minute. Greetings and welcome back, everybody. So, what do you think? Is that just too much? I was really questioning, should I do this show? But I thought, I appreciate it. I figured somebody else out there might appreciate it too. So I guess we'll see. All right, so let's see what's going on in the comments. As always, this is the live Q&A. So if you got questions, drop them in here now. They don't have to just be about what we're talking about here, but I would love to hear what you think of this. Starting with Shark, and do type at PhotoJoseph in front of it. Even if, this is kind of interesting, even if you're not on YouTube, if you're watching this over on Facebook or Twitch or anywhere else, try typing at PhotoJoseph in front of the comment. I'm really curious to see if it highlights red on my screen like you're seeing here, even if it comes from somewhere else. It'd be kind of interesting. Should actually make sure that the whole restream thing is even working right now. I have absolutely no idea. Checking these stats and, oh, I've closed it. There it is. And something's working. I don't know. All right, let's see. Shark says, tried that kombucha that Sean was drinking last week. No, whiskey is much better. I'm with you, buddy. I'm definitely with you. Audio Dabbler, greetings to you. Oh, Audio Dabbler, you got the microphone. Hope you're enjoying it. Shark, 4,393 followers on Instagram is not bad. Yeah, but it's not great either. But thank you. I appreciate that. Fortunately, I'm doing better here on YouTube. Let's see. Neil Ford, if you pulled the hashtag from the page, you'd have the data and could skip this step. If you pulled, okay, I don't know which step you're talking about. Obviously, I wasn't reading this when it was live, so clarify for me what you mean, Neil. It would be lovely to hear a more efficient way to do it. And Texas, this is crazy. I'm definitely going to start doing this. Excellent. You rock. Why, thank you. You found it very interesting, Art Doubler. Wait. Awesome. Sean Mark Nepper, you missed it. Can I start over? Sure thing, buddy. Anytime. Sean and I are going to be recording our podcast as soon as the show is over. So if you haven't subscribed to that, folks, make sure you do. It is called Shot Talk, and you can find it on pretty much everywhere, or just go to anchor.fm/Shot Talk. No, sorry, anchor.fm/PhotoJoseph, and that will take you to it where you can subscribe as well. Audio Doubler opens my eyes to what is possible. What would be a YouTube process? Wow, that's an interesting question. I wouldn't do a YouTube process like this. There are tools built for YouTube that kind of automate this for you. I use TubeBuddy. TubeBuddy is pretty awesome. It allows you to analyze your keywords and recommends keywords based off of your content. And yeah, that would be the equivalent. I would just do that for sure, because that's something you have to do for every single video. This is, you know, once every few months or more. Neil Ford, converting the URL back to a hashtag. Oh, I see what you're saying. So, except that I would have to go back to the hashtags and figure out, okay, so I use this hashtag and that one and this one and this one. It's much easier to just have this automatic script, automatic formula that just converts it over, right? Because remember now, I'm going to have, and I didn't show you guys the final, let me do that here. I forgot to show in the main show my final document that I did. This allows me to have that just copy and paste. I would have to go into sort and find each individual ones. That really would not work. So let's see here. This must be it. Yeah, there we go. So here's the full size one. I've actually put the URL at the top so I can jump back to it easily. You can see here, and this one's sorted the wrong way. I like sorting them the other way now. But anyway, you can see all these in here, and this has gone on for, there's Camden Street. I skipped number 2. I think it was wedding because I don't do weddings. But there's black and white, and there's portrait. And so I've built all of these up. And some of these, like, okay, say here, this one, under food, it goes from 145 to 400,000. So, you know, maybe I copy a couple of these of the higher ones and a few of the lower ones as well. You know, you got to be judicious about it. You got to make your own decision. But at this point, I've got the data and I know exactly what to do. So anyway, Burns Tech sent a message on Twitch. It doesn't even look like it's showing up. Oh wow! So great. So the Restream chat bot is apparently not working right now. That's lovely. Well, thank you for trying. I appreciate it. I like the Restream thing, but okay. Auto Dabbler, I'll check that out, but we'll check on this for Instagram. Yeah, dude, this is the Instagram thing. Okay, anything else? Oh, Aaron says this was an amazing feat, but I would have just written a little bit of code to do most of that data munging. Well, see, if you know how to write code to do that, then bonus on you. I don't do code, but I get pretty good at spreadsheets and formulas and spreadsheets. I've got some pretty gnarly spreadsheets that I use for like show checklists. Pretty kind of cool. Pretty kind of cool. Alrighty, nothing else? That's it. All right, guys. Well, I hope that was super fun for you. I am moving on with my day. This might be the only live show I do this week, or show that I do this week. Maybe I'll do another like live roundup on Friday, but we'll see. I've got a lot going on this week. I am doing 2 live webinars for DxO. If you go to, I think if you just go to dxo.com, you'll see a pop-up there, or it's for the Nick Collection, so nickcollection.dxo.com might also have it. But there's URLs there. Watch my Twitter feed. I'll be posting about those shortly. But I'm doing one, I think, Wednesday and then maybe Saturday. Anyway, this month I've got a bunch of those. So that's going to be a lot of my live energy is going to be going into those. So if you are into the Nick Collection, these are all going to be different. The last batch of these I did, there were 2 shows that we did kind of alternated. This month, every single show is unique. So a lot of work, going to be a lot of fun, and the cool thing is you can watch all of them and learn something new each time. At least that's the idea. Auto Dabbler says the wireless mics are working out pretty good. Thanks, you're quite welcome. He won those on one of these shows. See, sometimes I give stuff away. You just never know. You just never know. All right, guys, let's get out of here. Sean, I'll be calling you in a minute. We got a show to do. Take care of yourselves, everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.